already?
Yeah.
Okay. First, I would like to take this opportunity to thank David Bell for his contributions to the Reds organization. David is one of the nicest, most genuine and caring individuals I've worked with in 25 years in baseball. He brought that caring attitude to the ballpark every day in his interactions with players and staff members all around the organization. We've made many improvements to this organization because of David when he came here in 2018. Over the last few years, he was the right person for this job. With that said, I didn't take this decision lightly. This was a very tough decision, but I believe this is what we need to do to move forward as a major league team. I said a few weeks ago that everyone in this organization needs to be better, myself included, in order for this team to take the next step and perform like we are capable. We made the decision to extend David last season because I thought we were moving in the right direction as we promoted a younger core of players to develop in the big leagues. But after reflecting on everything from this season, I decided that we needed to move in another direction with the leadership in the Major League clubhouse. That's why we made the change. So with that said, I'll just open it up to questions. Mark?
I guess change is being made. What made it decide to do it now as opposed to waiting until after the last day of the season or something?
We made the decision over the last couple of days, and this was the best decision to make right now. If we make the decision now, it allows us to meet with everybody on the last road trip. It allows us to start this process and give us a week head start as opposed to waiting when you know what the decision's going to be.
Have you started the process at all on who's next?
We're going to start that today.
How big is the list you're going to start with?
We're starting it today, and we're working through that starting today.
How important is previous big league managerial experience in this search?
We're looking for somebody that can lead this clubhouse. We're looking for somebody that can develop the young players in this clubhouse as we continue to build through scouting and player development.
When you say lead the clubhouse, is that some of what's been out there talked about in terms of some of the fundamentals we didn't always see, or the accountability that's been thrown out there, or messaging, or what?
When I say lead, it is to be the leader of the major league team. It is to continue to be the leader of this major league club and develop these younger players at the big league level.
We asked you this at the deadline. Why did the team underperform this year?
I don't know. We've looked at a lot of different things. We've had one-run games that didn't go our way. We have a positive run differential with a below 500 record. We've had a lot of different reasons. We've had issues with certain players not playing to their capability. I think when you look across the board, I thought we should have been better. I know what our projections were at the beginning of the season, but at the same time, you look where we are now, where we were over the last few weeks. I thought this team should be better than it was.
How do you assess a manager's responsibility for improving in those areas, fundamental areas, for instance?
The coaching staff, manager, I think we all take some of the blame for what happened this year, and I think we're all trying to figure out how to continue to get better and make those where we're more airtight.
Are there a few things you put your finger on you want to be different next season?
Yeah, I'd say that you obviously you want to win more games, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we're making better decisions. Players are making better decisions. Players are moving forward and getting better at this level, continuously getting better. I think that's extremely important as we have a young group.
Is it more important when you evaluate the next choice of a manager, whether you want somebody, like if David was a player's manager, to have somebody that's more of a disciplinarian or more of a certain type of personality that you're looking for?
I don't think you want to change everything. You want somebody to come in, like I said before, and lead this clubhouse and be a person that can continue to develop players at this level.
Did you ever feel there was a time where David's messaging was lost on the players or not received?
That's a good question. I'm not really sure that there's a time when it was completely lost. I think it's just there were some philosophical differences in where we were, and I think that's something we've just evaluated things over the last specifically a couple of months that we felt we needed to make a change.
What are those philosophical differences?
I'll keep those internal for right now.
Don't you think though you should be a little more transparent about that, given the state of this organization over the last 30 years?
In terms of, I can talk about philosophy and where we want to go. I don't,
Yeah.
I think that, when you look at where we underperformed this year. We were not very good. We took a lot of extra bases. We got thrown out a lot on the bases. We did some things that we were, at times, we were a little undisciplined in what we did. So I think it's just, we had some philosophical differences.
How do you go in 14 months from David Bell getting a contract extension to now not being the guy?
I thought last year we did a better job of integrating a lot of the younger players to the big league club. This year I felt that some of those players took steps backwards.
Nick, were any of the players polled, or did you take any of their opinions into consideration for this decision?
I talked to a lot of different people around the organization and the organization to get their thoughts.
How do you view the leadership among the players in that clubhouse right now as it stands?
After this decision, I haven't talked to any of the players at this point.
Do you plan on cleaning house for the rest of the coaching staff?
No, we're gonna end up going through a manager search. We let go of one other person. I think Larry told you that, right? But as of right now, we're gonna go through a manager search. We're going to evaluate everything over the next week. And when we go through that manager search, we'll talk to the new manager about who's gonna come back and who's not.
What's your timeline for wanting somebody in place?
I'd say as soon as possible, but we're gonna go through a thorough search.
Nick, was this your decision or was this?
This was my decision.
Nick, how is ownership involved in all this? And there were no ownership voices in either the release or today. Is this unilaterally your decision, as you just said?
This was my decision. I mean, obviously everybody was involved. We've talked to them. I talked to Bob about this over the last few weeks, a couple days, yesterday, but this was my decision.
Nick, also, Derek Johnson, what is his status, especially with the added title of director of pitching and being enforced that, organizational as opposed to just the coaching staff, and where does Derek fit in going forward?
DJ's under contract for next year and moving forward in the future.
Is this a signal that you guys are planning to make a bigger push investing in the team for 2025?
In terms of players or?
In terms of
payroll?
going more, both, trades, free agency?
I think we're gonna look at everything we can do to get better. We've gotta look at every aspect of how we can improve this club.
How do you view this team's window to compete?
I mean, ideally, we have a good core of young players. We've got a lot of guys that, this is their first full season in the big leagues. We've got Hunter Green under contract for a longer period of time. We've got a solid group of players in the minor leagues. Hopefully, this is not a window. You're not looking at windows, you're looking at, I've said this before, you wanna get to sustainability, not just windows.
To kind of rephrase my first question, is this a sign that playoffs were and the expectation, the fact that this year wasn't good enough?
I think playoffs are always the expectation. That's your goal. You wanna get to the playoffs. You give yourself a shot to make the postseason.
You mentioned some young players took a step back. How much is the responsibility of progress on the player, and how much is it on the coaching and manager?
I think obviously everyone shares responsibility. We as a front office share responsibility as well, so it's a little bit on everybody.
Is Terry Frank going on your call list? Do you expect to call him?
I honestly, Gordon, I have not looked at the list. I have not compiled a list yet. I don't have a list. We're gonna get to that today.
Off the top of your head, is he an attractive possible candidate if he's willing to come back?
He's done a great job as a manager. I don't have a list at this point.
What about in-house candidates?
Again, I don't have a list at this point.
Even in-house guys?
We're still evaluating everything.
What does the staff look like this week? Is there any additions or anything like that, or?
Yeah, we're going to, Freddie's gonna be the new manager for the week. We're gonna move J.R. House as bench coach. Colin's gonna go from first to third, and Kyle Arnsberg's gonna be the first base coach.
So no additions?
No additions as of right now.
Is Freddie in the running going forward?
We're gonna talk to Freddie later today.
Is that time of year, are there any other organizational firings, coordinator type roles, front office type, any other moves that have been made?
No, I mean, I think maybe some minor league coaches, but no, not right now.
You mentioned this was a tough decision. This season specifically for you, Nick, among the more frustrating time periods in your career, considering the expectations and excitement at the beginning of this season?
Yeah, obviously you've got injuries right out of the gate, but I thought we were moving in the right direction. There was times when you kind of we played well, we played poorly. I think we just had a lot of inconsistencies throughout the course of the year. And I think that was where the frustration came from.
Do you expect the next manager to hold the players more accountable?
I think we need to, whoever we hire needs to hold players accountable for, I think that's in any job, in any management position, you want to hold the people below you accountable and to get the most out of them.
Was that part of the problem?
I think the biggest problem was the inconsistencies.
In addition to you, who else is a part of the coaching search committee?
Right now, it's me, Brad Metter, and then we're working through that. Again, this was decided yesterday. We had a smaller group know that this was happening, and then afterwards, we're starting the process of 2025.
Did you tell David right after the game yesterday?
So, I came down, he was gone, he came back, just from a timeline. We talked to David, or I talked to David personally. He came back, we finished around 6:30. I wanted to give him some time to tell his family, to tell anybody that I didn't want this to be found on the internet. I wanted to make sure that he had the opportunity to do that, and then we announced later as opposed to this morning.
What's your time frame for having a new manager?
We're starting that process today, but as soon as possible, but we're gonna go through a thorough process.
Is that something you want it done by the GM meetings, for instance?
Sure, again, I mean, I'd like it as soon as possible. Ideally, you make that hire, you make what that decision is, you have to hire a coaching staff afterwards. I think it's all part of the larger process of the offseason, but yeah, you'd like to get it done as soon as you can.
Obviously, you're in a higher role than you were in 2018, but do you expect the process to look the same, different? How will that be similar or different?
We're gonna sit down and go through that today.
Any preference given to someone who's been a part of the Reds organization before? Barry Larkin,
Yeah,
Francona, David Ross.
I want somebody who is going to be able to come in, lead this clubhouse, and continue to develop the younger players.
That's good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Appreciate you guys' name.